Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello there. Hello. Sorry for the slight delay.
Sorry.
Susan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yes, you should be. We delayed for you.
I was sitting here waiting to call at 8:55, and then I started doing something. You know what happens. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here we are, a little late, but nevertheless, what is it? It's August 10th.
It is.
Yeah, and tomorrow's Mom's birthday.
And yesterday was Kathy's birthday.
Oh, I can't keep track. There's so many birthdays.
August is a bad month in our family, right?
I don't even know. All I've ever really remembered are the birthdays of my immediate family and my son. That's it. I don't know anymore. My friends, I can't keep it straight. And I guess other people write it down, or
they have a calendar that tells them. Yes.
Yeah, they're reminded. And I guess my friends have learned to not be offended.
Well, I think we grew up in a house where birthdays weren't all that
big a deal.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I can remember, like, Mother would buy, my birthday being in July, Mother might buy me something in February and say, that's your birthday present.
Yeah, stuff like that. A lot. Yeah, I remember that, too.
And holidays weren't, gift giving was not
a big thing.
Was not a big thing and not connected. Well, it wasn't that we didn't give gifts or enjoy gifts. We just didn't necessarily connect them to events. Yeah.
Well, that's carried over to me. And,
yeah, me too.
I'm just not into sort of holiday giving and
right. As a matter of fact, yes, when commanded, when it's an occasion where one is commanded, to give something to people because I can't think of a damn thing. I like to, run into things and say, you know who that's for? That's for blah, blah. And then I buy it and I give it to blah, blah.
That's exactly, what I do too. So we must, having grown up in the same house, I guess it comes
we have the same attitude toward it, right?
Yeah. And I hate Valentine's Day and stuff like that. Do you recall ever any Valentine's Day, like where Dad would give Mom something for Valentine's Day?
No.
And did Mom get upset?
No. And Dad, in terms of gift giving, used to deputize me once I got old enough
to get her something.
Yeah, and he went and then when I was in my teens, she kept telling me to buy her negligees, and I kept saying no, she doesn't want them.
You can't. He told you to go get her some sexy gown.
Yes, he did. I said no.
And I must say, our mother did wear these sexy nightgowns well into her. Well, I mean, people didn't go to bed and things like that normally, did they? Or was that part of that generation?
I think it was that generation because they sold them everywhere and she wore them and yeah, she did.
And I mean, like, she lived in a very cold climate. She did not own a flannel
nightgown or pajamas.
Never has. Right. Never has. So that's odd.
Now, Dad wore a flannel nightgown.
Well, a flannel nightgown. He did. That's true. He wore the flannel nightgown. That's right. He did. Oh, well, okay, we should stop.
No, we should, but it's infinitely preferable to everything else. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, that is true. God, that is so true. So I'm just trying to get things straight since I haven't communicated with you for a few days. You are now at the family home?
I am at the family home, having left our brother behind in Chicago.
Wait a minute. He's not there? I thought he was...
No. He's not there.
Why? Excuse us for a second.
Because the weather was. Because he comes on motorcycle, and it was pouring all day yesterday. I came ahead, and I am hopeful. I left him with like half a halibut. I figured he'd be okay.
God Almighty, what an idiot. Anyway, okay, so you're there. He's not, and I'll be there on Friday. Although I really don't think I should. I mean,
no. I want you to come ahead, and I want you to feel better about this, because even if you're exposed in the airport, you wouldn't have time to become contagious until you went back home. So just don't worry about it.
Well, I'm not just worried about infecting Mom. I don't want it.
Oh, you're worried about you?
No, I am. No, not just Mother. I am worried about Mother and everybody else, but I'm worried about me, and I'm worried about my son. Yeah.
I know. Well, just double mask. You'll be okay.
Ugh.
Double mask,
all right.
and you'll be okay. Or
maybe.
Get an N9, have N95s.
I do have N95 masks. So I ordered those. It makes me look like a platypus.
That's fine.
Oh, God, I hate... Okay, never mind. Never mind. Okay, so while we're on the subject, let's just talk about COVID for a second, since that is what we're talking about.
Well, it's interesting. We can talk about this event. I mean, because you reacted to this confirmation email that I sent out to the very few people that I invited to a backyard picnic to honor Mom's birthday, and the email that I sent out basically probably sounded like, please don't come. But if you come...
I don't think it sounded like that, but no.
That's not what I meant. I felt the need to warn people, to tell people that we were all vaccinated, to warn people the risks that they were facing, because there were people that were coming in from, out of state and flying and being in airports. And asking them if they didn't feel well to please not come. But that said, we were looking forward to getting together. That is sort of the standard way that I have been getting invitations for the last, say, 6 months.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm having a bad day. I had a friend over yesterday, and, everybody's so down.
Because we're back right where we started.
Fucking down.
We're back where we started, and now it's attacking our children, and that's really scary.
Yes. No, it really feels worse. So, listen, I do have some, COVID-related stuff that I want to get out here. One, the first one stems from your former home state of Missouri.
Yeah.
Which is, it's one of the idiot states. They write that, and I'm not surprised to hear this, that hospitals and clinics that do have the vaccine are getting people coming in for the vaccine, or getting phone calls from people who say, I really want the vaccine, but I don't want anybody to see me.
Right. They're disguising themselves or sneaking in.
They're wearing disguises. They are, some places have opened up, they allow private settings for people who are afraid of being seen getting a vaccination, so they don't have to go into the place where everybody knows that's where they have that vaccine. And they are in states where these fools live. That is what is going on. And a sociologist, I guess, said, well, this makes sense because they live in a certain environment, in a certain neighborhood, in their churches, their neighborhoods, their workplaces, all their friends. Their it's called a reference group in sociology. That's your core surrounding group. And if your core surrounding group is filled with these people who, demonize the vaccine, you would not want them to know that you were getting it, because that is increasingly sort of a disownable offense, apparently.
Yeah.
Because you're not conforming to the group norms. And getting a vaccine is a betrayal, is seen as a betrayal of the group. Yeah, and consequently, you have these terrified people.
Right. Well, and you do. I mean, that's been reported sort of regularly in the St. Louis press. But the other thing is if you read letters contemporaneously, yesterday, letter to the editor in a St. Louis newspaper blaming all these new cases on immigrants coming in at the southern border.
Oh yeah, right, of course.
And not noting that the states of Missouri, Louisiana, and Florida are not contiguous to that border.
Well, Susan, I mean, come on. Bringing like a little factoid like that into the equation is
I know it's not fair, and I want people to start suing people. I'm glad that these students are suing DeSantis. I want who's now going to hit them in their pocketbooks for administrators that do their job appropriately and try and protect the health and welfare of their student body.
Right. He's going to make sure that, like a superintendent that allows.
Yeah, he'll withhold his pay.
He'll withhold their pay.
But he doesn't control their pay. The school district controls their pay.
Thinking. What kind of a governor?
The school board, right? I'm telling you, as president of the school board, I signed everybody's checks.
You concerned the head of the school board, a governor.
That's right.
I see him make these pronouncements, and I think, what the fuck? You're not the czar. Nope.
I signed those checks. I signed my signature on the back of on the bottom of every check. And at the beginning of every school year, I sat at my dining room table with a stack of contracts and a black pen, and I signed every single one. I mean, not
the governor of Missouri.
Not the governor of Missouri.
Yeah. Hey, did you see? I texted you when you weren't there.
Yeah.
And the text, I wrote, "Yoo-hoo," and what you got was,
you
see it? You hop.
You hop.
And
show started.
And I swear to God, I did not type you hop. That was, again, their assumption, this algorithmic assumption that they know better than I know what I intended to say.
I have to tell you that what is bothering me more than anything is that I hit 70 and I suddenly am turning into a technology idiot, which I have never been. But my new iPhone is just beyond me. It keeps doing things I don't want. For example, one of the reasons that I didn't see your brilliant text, you hop, was because my phone keeps putting itself on do not disturb mode, and then keep sending me a message that it will not ring or alert me when it is locked. And every time you put it down and ignore it, it eventually locks itself. So now my phone...
Well, can't you? Surely
so I keep taking it off, do not disturb, and somehow...
Can't you disable that? Totally.
Yes,
just disable that.
I keep disabling it, and I guarantee you I'm going to go there right now, and it's going to be back on.
Okay, well... throw it out the window. I am so sick of these damn machines. I can't stand
it. Decide what I want and do not allow me to unprogram what they've decided is what I would, of course, want.
I hate them. Okay, so listen, I'm still staying with COVID here for a while.
Okay, COVID.
Did you hear the one about a guy in Omaha who was at the grocery store and he was shot? What is it? 5 times? Multiple times with a BB gun by a guy who took exception to the fact
that he was wearing a mask.
Yes. He was wearing a mask. And he was injured, but was able to say to the guy who shot him, why would you do that? And he said, you're on the other team.
Well, he should be very grateful that Masked Man wasn't carrying a Glot and didn't shoot him and kill him in absolutely perfectly legal self-defense.
Yeah, but how? I mean, what would he be charged with? I mean, he's obviously been charged. Yeah, if you shoot somebody with a BB gun at close range,
if that BB gun at close range, goes in through an eye, hits you in the brain, you can't. That's assault with a deadly weapon. Sorry.
Okay. Well, at any rate, yeah. So much for I don't know. I feel like we're just coming undone. And Paul Krugman has a piece in the New York Times today about how he's stunned about how undone the Republicans are. He said, you think of the fact that they have always, been against the idea of climate change, right? They were on the, it's a hoax, it's baloney, it's this, that, forever, right?
Right.
Because that's what they do. They say no. They prevent action. Always. That's what they're there for. And in so doing, they kill people. They ensure that people die.
Yep.
And now with the vaccine stuff, that's what's got Krugman freaked, that they would go so far
as to kill their own people.
Actively, kill their own people.
Yep.
And he says, how did this happen? And here's and he's so right. I mean, I don't know why I hadn't sort of totally put this together. Somewhere in the back of my head, I must have. He'd say, America's rapid vaccination pace during the spring was wonderful. It was very good for the nation. I mean, it's why Biden could say, and by July 4th, we're going to have 70% of the country vaccinated. That's how quickly we're doing this. But that's the problem. This was a political success for the Democrats.
So they put their brakes on it. Yep.
So absolutely, that's when it happened. Influential conservatives and governors for whom owning the liberals is always the uppermost goal. That's when they really began throwing up the roadblocks to getting their people vaccinated. So we've known that saying that Trump won the election is like now a litmus test, a loyalty test that any Republican in good standing has got to say, or else, try to skitter around on the edges and not say it, but never condemn it. But now the other loyalty test is not getting vaccinated. literally dying for Trump.
And if you aren't willing to do that, then you have to put on a false nose and a mustache and a pair of glasses and go and get a vaccine, at least in Missouri.
So, and, you know, he says, and it's impossible for these guys to change course because all they care about is their own electoral victory. So Ron DeSantis, if he were to admit that some of what he's done is wrong and try to, you know, well, do a 180, his political ambitions would be toast.
Let's hope they're toast anyway. I mean, it's a very strange political stance to be putting your people's children in ICUs at record numbers more than in any state, and to have a companion policy that makes it illegal to mask in schools. You know, I somehow think that would not be good for a political future. In a statewide vote.
Here's some breaking news. I thank you for sending this. Pittsburgh Public Schools have announced that they are shifting the start date of school. They're pushing it back to September 8th. And they're doing it, I'm sure, to get more people vaccinated, but they say doing so to help bring on more bus drivers and lessen the so-called it's about the buses. Lessen the so-called seat gap that exists right now. What does that mean? They don't have enough buses to allow for distancing on the buses?
I don't know what that means, or whether they can't serve all of the necessary places, that there aren't enough seats for the number. I don't know what it means. Seat gap is unfamiliar to me.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure either,
I thought that was a plumber's butt, but seat gap is something I don't know.
Okay.
I think it would be smart because people are beginning to change their minds about vaccinating their children, and they need to get anyone over 12 that can get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to be vaccinated.
Yeah. Roger writes, I grew up Protestant and not in Pennsylvania, so I was surprised to learn that Pennsylvanians give gifts on Easter, especially Catholics. Gifts? You mean like baskets?
Just like an Easter basket?
Yeah, an Easter basket, but you mean gifts? I understand an Easter basket. In the Catholic family I married into, Easter not gifts, but Easter very, very elaborate Easter egg hunts and candy and dyeing eggs and that sort of stuff. Yeah. And he says, regarding negligees, I remember Laura Petrie on the Dick Van Dyke Show and Lucille Ball. You see, that is what it was. We're negligees. But that was it, unless it was an adult movie. Yeah, they wore negligees, but they slept in separate beds, in twin beds. I have to tell you, my mom wore negligees, and they slept in the same bed.
Yep. Frequently, I was in there with them.
Oh, God. And then Roger has shared a dumb joke with us, I guess. I'll tell it. He says, a man walks into a talent agent's office claiming he has a talking dog. The man asks his dog, what's on top of a house? Roof, says the dog. What does sandpaper feel like? Roof. Who is the greatest baseball player of all time? Roof. The talent agent throws him out of the office when the dog asks, maybe I should have said DiMaggio? Okay, I didn't see that.
Well, you knew that was coming.
No, I didn't. Thank you, Roger. We all could use a laugh. And Bree writes from Malaysia, the political angle has been raised here in Malaysia as well. That is to say, Some claim that the lockdowns benefit the current prime minister. The higher the numbers, the less likely that the parliament will vote out the current prime minister. It's difficult to say, but the vaccinations are speeding up. They say that the majority of adults will be fully vaccinated by October. Wow, that's amazing. The lockdown is scheduled through December for now. Wow, they're really... I don't know.
Well, I'm certainly not ever. The people that I know are walking backwards and not forwards. They had started to go to restaurants. They're not going to restaurants again. They had started, because being vaccinated doesn't matter. And I think I certainly know people that have had breakthrough cases by this point, and I know too many people that have unvaccinated children in their lives. And so we're all going back to lockdown. I'm terrified for my grandchildren. And that is not an overstatement.
I understand. Okay. And just so,
let me say one other thing. There's a right-wing talking point out there that as viruses morph, they weaken. Viruses.
That's not true.
Viruses morph. They can morph to be less. They can morph to be more. There's no. They can morph into something totally different and far more deadly. So do not. You've got to learn the difference between a right-wing talking point and the truth. And a real easy way to do it is to do 5 minutes worth of research. Just 5 minutes. Look up 2 or 3 scientific articles. They're easily found, and they'll tell you how stupid that is.
Susan.
No, but it's just,
who are you telling to look up scientific articles? People who believe the right-wing talking points?
It's just so shocking to me that there is a so-called I mean, remember back in the old days when every time a television station went to get its license, the public could write in and say whether it was performing to keep the community strong and healthy. We don't get to do that anymore.
I wonder why. Not that it ever made any difference.
Well, could have. Yeah, it did make some difference every once in a while. Oh, and that's the other thing I wanted to tell you. Guess who's funding all of the voting lawsuits and complaints and is keeping these groups going? Guess where all the money's coming from?
Well, it's some right-wing billionaire.
Yes, Milwaukee, and it is the estate of the 2 brothers that started
who owned one of the breweries,
who started the John Birch Society.
Oh,
and they fund all of these different things that make it look like it's different groups that are doing this, and all of the money is coming out of this estate. In this, the dregs of the John.
I'm trying to remember what the name is. That Welch?
I think it might be here. I can look it up, but yeah, I was one of those things when you're stuck in the car and listening to something you don't want to hear, and I was going, oh.
Well, you hear about these rich people who inherited wealth. And they're using, I was talking maybe a month ago about some woman who inherited, what did she inherit? Oh, she's got all the money from the Gore-Tex, the guy who invented that fabric. And she's been underwriting these attempts by
Welch.
Republicans Welch, to infiltrate Democratic groups and to essentially be trained as spies and how to get information about what certain Democratic groups or political campaigns are doing. And she's been underwriting all of that. It's another reason why inherited wealth is, people who have billions of dollars, they never did a damn thing in their lives. And now they use that money
to undermine democracy.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, by the way, the other co-founder was a guy by the name of Koch, or Koch, Koch.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that name ring a bell?
I suspect it does. So, I just want to tell you this, and I'm sorry to tell you this, because when I saw it, I wasn't too happy. The African country of Guinea has ordered, at this count, 155 people into quarantine. And it ain't COVID. It's another virus, though. And it's a deadlier virus. It's called the Marburg virus. And it's considered a cousin of Ebola. And it has a fatality rate of 88%. And there is no vaccine, no anything for it. I'm just saying.
Well, you think global warming is contributing to these crazy viruses springing up and thriving? I wonder. You know, the ankle bone's always connected to the damn knee bone.
Aaron says, go to your settings / do not disturb and turn off the schedule setting. It's just one switch.
Yeah, I've turned them all off. Thank you very much.
But it's just thinking she didn't mean to do it. Oh, one more vaccination thing, and then I'm done. I love this because I love the confluence of anti-vaxxing stupidity with just general stupidity. Have you heard about the anti-vaxxing group that descended upon the BBC offices in London, screaming and yelling about the BBC's promotion of the vaccines? Except there was a problem.
Right.
They were at the wrong address.
They went to the Four Seasons.
They went to a place. Well, there was a little sort of somewhere in the building. It's mostly upscale apartments, restaurants, and there is like a studio.
They do talk shows. They do afternoon talk show programming.
Yeah. And they said one of the women who I guess is up in the studio said, who does a show called Loose Women, was saying that, geez, if they'd broken in and found us, they could have joined us. We were just talking about menopause.
I just love it when they're so stupid they don't even know where to go to protest. I mean, it was the same thing. It was like going to the Four Seasons landscaping instead of the Four Seasons.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, good God.
And did you hear Prince Andrew is so hurting for cash? He had to sell his $23 million palace somewhere.
Oh, he had to sell his palace?
Well, not his palace. I think it's like a vacation home in Italy or something, but yes.
He still has a few palaces, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, he's in trouble.
Well, it'll take a little heat off of Harry and Meghan and just...
So, where did I read that right now the worst air in the world? Where do you think it is? It'd be like New Delhi or Beijing.
It might be Denver.
It's Denver.
Yeah. Your sister, she reads.
I know. I figured, yeah. And it's Salt Lake.
Well, but I was actually just thinking about that this morning because, because it was cloudy here this morning and it looked smoky and misty. And I was thinking, but, around here, that's a mile or two up. But Denver, is the mile high city. So it's sticking up in the smoke cloud. Yeah.
Yeah. So, So, recent, and this is, guys, because we had some days, what was it, about a month ago from the smoke where it got this far east. And, Pittsburgh doesn't need any additional particulate crap coming in. And we were in a high risk situation for days where people were not supposed to, with, health conditions like, asthma, like mine, were not supposed to go out. And here, the recent research shows that the smoke that's pouring out of these Western fires actually gets more toxic as it travels east towards us. It undergoes, listen to it, it's just like, every nightmare thing you can come up with about this climate crisis. When you think things are bad, oh, California's burning, but you think, thank God I'm not in California. Then it turns out that smoke from those fires actually is more toxic to people in Montana and even Pennsylvania, that far, because as it blows across the country, it reacts with sunlight and other molecules, and it undergoes chemical changes, and it can really become increasingly toxic. And then stop and think of what it starts as. The smoke, wildfire smoke, is one of the more dangerous pollutants to start with. So if you're right there, if you're a firefighter fighting these fires, you're dealing with smoke that contains burned trees, house paint, home insulation, tons of chemicals, and a lot of firefighters and people near these fires have ended up in emergency rooms with asthma attacks, strokes, and even heart attacks from the smoke. Also, they say these smoke particles may stunt children's lungs, the growth of their lungs. And as if that wasn't enough, it can accelerate the melting of snow. And when you accelerate the melting of snow, that means you're going to have less rainfall in the future because the snow is not going to be there to evaporate into the air and create moisture. So it will form a vicious cycle of wildfire, snow melt, drier conditions, wildfire.
Well, eventually, isn't there nothing left to burn?
And as you were saying, Susan, everything is connected. It's always this connection that we have failed in our, privileged lives to ever note. And so, again, if the fires aren't where you are, just wait. They will have an impact on you. States to the east of California that people, like to go to because of the beauty, Montana, Wyoming, these glorious vistas, they're not coming. And when they do come now, they're pissed off because the smoke is so thick, you can't see the beautiful mountains.
Now, I have a sister-in-law that lives in Denver, and they can't see the mountains right now, and that's usually their beautiful view. So
one thing that it says here is that the public needs to change its conception of what it means to vacation outdoors, or what the outdoors should look like. I'm sorry. So let's move on to something that's not quite as gut-wrenchingly appalling. Did you watch much of the Olympics?
I did, but I watched them in ways that I didn't used to because of smart TVs. I could just watch whatever I wanted whenever I wanted.
Yeah. And the other thing was, is our smartphones told us who won in the morning, and then so any sense of like, where you're
right. Well, that's true, and therefore I would just go and seek out a performance that I wanted to see instead of watching them all. So very different. But I think that sort of happens whenever the Olympics are the time zone is that far off. Yeah. And it's the Winter Olympics, same thing. So
here's there was a photo in, I guess it was the New York Times today on the sports section of one of the divers. Man, the divers. I mean, all these people flipping around, flying through air, it's just beyond belief. But this diver is a Canadian diver, a woman, and she's up on the 3-meter springboard. It's her final dive. And you know what she did? She jumped feet first.
You're kidding.
No. I got the picture right here. I'm looking at her. She jumped feet first. Her score, 0. And the reporter who was there says this: 5 years of training, persisting through a pandemic, following restrictive protocols to travel to Tokyo. And she ends it like that? What could she have been feeling? I watched as she bolted out of the water, her coach trailing behind her. She dipped into a tub in the corner of the aquatic center, her back to the pool. My heart went out to her. It's never answered. Did anyone see that this diver, Pamela?
Where was she in the standings? I mean, did she just?
Well, she obviously no, right. I mean, obviously she wasn't going to win anything, but that's still. Why would you do that?
Because she felt defeated. Because for all the reasons that guy said. Because she'd worked for 5 years, she'd pushed through to get there, she'd gotten there, and then with her first 2 jumps, she'd already taken herself out. That's the only thing that would make sense to me.
Boy, I mean, I'm sure the Canadian press has talked to her or something. She has to have said something. But I had not seen that before. There is something heartbreaking about it.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of obvious human evidence of the toll that this takes on these young people who train their whole lives to do this.
Right. And the incredible pressure that some are under. Speaking of which, one of the refreshing things for me is seeing these Olympians who don't medal, even those who just came in 4th or 5th, and they're still saying, it was just an incredible experience. I'm so happy to have been here with all these, and then you think, wow, that's the Olympic spirit. It's not what, NBC tells us it is, which is the medal count.
Yeah, how many medals? Are we the best in the world?
Who's got all the gold? Who's got the silver? And yada, yada, yada. Well, it turns out that kind of pressure is felt incredibly by some of the athletes, much more than others, because of their culture. And the biggest pressure on any athlete was coming from the Japanese.
From Japan. Did you hear that guy apologize for not winning?
He's not the only one. They were apologizing left, right, and center for getting a silver medal. They were sobbing uncontrollably for getting a silver medal. Here's a sport climber saying, he's sobbing after it. I feel fed up with myself. I've wanted to return my gratitude to my nation with my performance. And it's how sad.
Yeah.
so sad. Even Naomi Osaka, who got knocked out early, she was apologizing left and right. And you stop and think about Japanese culture, and God knows I'm not an expert, but they're apologizing all the time. It says here, when entering someone's home, a visitor literally says, sorry. Workers going on vacation apologize to their colleagues for burdening them. Conductors express deep regret if a train is a minute late or even a few seconds early. Now, generally, these kinds of apologies are a matter of convention, but if a culture is that into, I'm sorry, you can imagine they're hosting this event, the pressure on these poor Japanese athletes. Here's one who actually said, she's a marathon runner, and she had won silver in 92. She'd won a bronze in Atlanta in 96. And she was accused of narcissism by the Japanese media after declaring after her bronze win in 96 that she was proud of herself. I feel so sorry for them. And they say this stems from, it's this kind of thing is cultivated from childhood. And here is a social psychologist who's from Japan, who's teaches at the University of Michigan now. And she says, Americans are very good at finding reasons why you are great, even if you fail. But in Japan, even if you succeed, you'll likely have to apologize.
Boy, what a brutal culture. That's a brutal culture. They say that from the minute a kid starts playing any sport in Japan, they are told that they are not playing for themselves. Especially in childhood. They are told that there are expectations from their teachers, their parents. So it is just rooted that there is not, you are not doing this in any way for yourself, and anything less than perfection is unacceptable. That is a cruel, hurtful culture. Now, I think our culture is too easy to hand out praise. We're too far the other way. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've been beginning to think that it accounts for the willingness of so many of us not to be able to tell the difference between a truth and a lie, because we started telling kids that lies that and if they were wrong, they weren't wrong, they were creative. It could be alternate, no. Oh, you mean
a kid who says 2 + 2 is 5? The response is, well, isn't that a creative answer?
Yes. No, it's 4.
And I know our brother has said, and I know he's right, that the kids know this is BS. So that when a poor kid at the plate who's whiffing every ball that comes at him is still being told, good job, buddy. Good eye. You got it. Good eye. The kid knows. And they say that there's these games for the little kids where the parents there's no keeping score. The kids are keeping score in their heads. And you end up with a bunch of self-absorbed weenies, or people, as Susan says, who don't trust anything an authority figure says. Okay.
Yeah.
What on the Olympics? Susan, were you talking one of the shows in the past recently about seeing a squirrel do an amazing acrobatic thing? That wasn't you.
That
okay,
was
I'm
not
me. Somebody. Okay. Somebody was saying to me, I saw a squirrel leap like 500 feet from a branch.
Well, they do these. I mean, they build these incredible contraptions trying to keep the squirrels out of the bird feeders. It becomes
it's impossible.
Right, and the squirrel always wins. Right,
they always win. So actually, the science.
I was talking to you. Wait a minute, Lynn. It was a couple of weeks ago. I was looking out of the window, and I was on the second floor, and I was looking up at the tops of two trees and was watching a squirrel leap across the open sky from one tree to the other. That's the conversation. There you go.
Okay. So there, I did remember. I remembered that. So anyway, in the science section, they say, move over Simone Biles and all you other gymnasts, because if there was an uneven bars competition that in any way resembled what squirrels deal with when they're going from branch to branch, I mean, the squirrels, they said, win hands down. They are amazing. And, biomechanic engineers, cognitive scientists have spent God knows how much time and money watching squirrels do their acrobatics and trying to figure out how the hell they do it and what decisions they're making. And it's hard, obviously, but one of the things they did find is that it's the stability and the stiffness of the launching branch, which is the most important thing to the squirrel.
I was just going to say that. It's like a springboard. It's back to our diving conversation, because I was watching that squirrel do that. I was trying to figure out how he picked which twig he was going to launch himself into the other tree. And it doesn't matter what he lands on. It does matter what he jumps from. And I was watching him make that decision. It was interesting.
So here's what the biomechanical expert says. And how he knows this, I don't know. He says they care more about a stable takeoff position, about 6 times more. Now, how would he know that? About 6 times more. Than how far they have to jump. And while they were doing all this research, they never saw a squirrel
miss.
Fall. Never. They're pretty damn amazing. Philomena writes, I thought Catholics were the only ones consumed by constant guilt. Jeez. Are you talking about us? Oh, no, or the Japanese.
Yeah, it has to be the Japanese.
Because I was thinking, because we are too, but Well, Philomena, I'm going to assume you're an Italian Catholic, and you head the Catholic guilt, don't they? I mean, Italian Catholics are more guilty than German Catholics.
Oh, yeah, a totally different breed.
Yeah, I know. It's totally different.
Well, that explains that when our Uncle Sam made me promise never to do what you did, dear sister.
Which is marry an Irish Catholic?
Which was marry an Irish Catholic, and I promised Uncle Sam solemnly that I would never do such a thing.
Let me just say this about Uncle Sam. Screw him.
Well, he did come up to me at my wedding to my Catholic husband and said, you promised me you wouldn't do that. And I said, I promised you I wouldn't marry an Irish Catholic. I did not. I married a German Catholic.
There you go. Ha ha. What a jerk. All right. God,
may his name be of blessed memory.
Well, no, a bigot. A big bigot. So I just have a few more. I was reading the book review, and there's a book called Period, End of Sentence, and it's about menstruation. And now we know that the stigmas around menstruation. Susan, do you remember when you were a kid? So we're in the 50s in the upper Midwest. What were the euphemisms?
The curse.
I fell off the roof.
On the rag.
No, I don't think it was on the rag. Was it?
I
think that was later. I'm saying when you were a little kid.
Well.
The curse. How about Aunt Flo?
Oh yeah.
So these things immediately, little girls are from the minute they,
I called it eek. What is that?
With their, yeah, it's a little unsettling to say the least. And but without it, humanity would not exist.
That's right.
So it is literally the blood of life. And this book goes into how it was perceived throughout, and it is just a horror show. It is. So is it Pliny the Elder as opposed to Pliny the Elder? So it's first century Rome, okay? First century Rome. He's writing saying that menstrual blood brings on catastrophe. It sours wine, it kills crops, it rusts metal, it drives dogs, mad, and infects their bites with an incurable poison. So God forbid. Yeah, but whatever.
How does it do this? You mean if okay, I'm trying to figure out how.
Who the hell knows? Anyway, listen. What do you mean? How do you? The dog? You never had a dog who embarrassed the hell out of you?
By sticking his nose in there? Yes.
No, by walking. You have guests over. Back in the day.
Out? No, I've never had that happen.
I had it happen to me.
I have never had that.
The dog walked into the room, in his mouth, a used menstrual pad. Horror. All right.
You have the most.
Listen to this.
You only, these things only happen to you. I just have to say,
true.
You have the most embarrassing stories, and I nothing in my life has ever come close to your least embarrassing story.
Wow. Okay, so listen to this. So you think that so Pliny the Elder's writing in the year 140 or something, but listen to what the Lancet, the medical journal, peer-reviewed journal, wrote in the 1920s. The touch of menstruating women caused cut flowers to wilt.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
How did that how did that make it into the Lancet? And as if that won't boggle you, in 1974, in the Lancet, it said, a permanent wave will not take in the hair of a menstruating woman.
Well, that's a blessing.
The Lancet. Well, but I mean, what?
Wasn't it the Lancet that gave us the research that later debunked on autism and vaccine?
It might have been.
I think it was. I think it was. I think we need to look at how well they peer review their stuff. He made some mighty big.
Well, thank you for this, Barbara. I can't do it now, but maybe I'll play it going out. She sent me a YouTube thing, which is the Menopause Rhapsody. It's the Bohemian Rhapsody, but a parody song. Can we
Well,
play
we
this
can do
going
whatever.
out?
If you want to play it going out, play it going out.
I'm thinking, let's see how long it is. Well, yeah, Zach, if you don't mind. Wait, stop. Shut up. I don't want an ad. Okay, skip it. Okay, let's see. It's 6 minutes long. Probably not, but could do a little of it. Or not. Listen, Susan. Listen. Oh, no, they're not. Well, why don't you just start singing?
You can't do this. This is no time to do this.
Oh, no, this is a different thing. I found a different thing. Never mind. That's good stuff. That's not it, though.
Okay.
Sorry,
everybody, listen to Lynn Cullen surfing.
Not knowing. All right. It was not a good end. When I went to study theater at the neighborhood playhouse in New York, I do remember one of the things that the frightening teacher, Sanford Meisner, said to me. You can't make an exit if your life depended on it.
Oh.
There was something about me always leaving that wasn't right. And it's remained, I think it's tripped me up. So I always have this sort of bumbling ends to shows. Because he's in my head.
Well, here's how I'm going to end it. I am so excited that the next time maybe that we actually talk, I finally get to give you a hug. For the first time.
I don't know. You going to give me a hug?
I don't give a shit. I'm giving you a hug.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. It's the first time since a year ago last February. I'm just telling you. Okay.
Are you kidding?
No, I haven't seen you since California of a year ago last. We haven't been here at the same time.
Oh, you're right. I was thinking I saw you and you got out of the house.
No, we have not seen each other.
Oh.
This is the longest in my whole life.
Yeah, by far.
That I've never seen you.
Or touched me.
Or touched you.
I'll give you a big hug.
Okay, I'm going to make myself cry. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, Sue.
See you soon. Safe travels. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Geez, remember when people said safe travels, they meant, I hope your plane doesn't crash, hope your car doesn't crash. And now what she's saying is, I hope you don't contract COVID-19 and then give it to me when you hug me. All right, that's it. I'm exiting. And fuck you, Sanford Meisner. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.